as well, which is good news. So Lawrence spotted that. I wonder if the hyena is also coming because of the calls of these guinea fowl. Let's follow this hyena in and just see. The vultures, most of them are on this side as well. You never know. This hyena might take us to either a den site or, particularly, you never know, maybe even Hosana or Tandi. There, leopard, yes, yes. Yes. Yeah. This is why the hyena was here. So following those, there's a big carcass. Oh my goodness, it's Hosana, and he's killed a massive kudu. Look at this. It's a huge kudu that he's... Yeah, so that goes and kind of blows everything out the water, that of what I was saying earlier. Now poor Hosana is going to lose a massive meal. Isn't that incredible that he's brought down a kudu of that size? Absolutely amazing. How cool is this? And there Hosana is lying just in front of us. He's over there. Hello, boy. Well done on your kill, though. Now, it was worth us for investigating those guinea fowl and stopping for the vultures. And as we said, following hyena might bring us to where we are now. So I'm just going to move a little bit so I can try and get a better view of Hosana. But this is a big adult kudu that he's managed to bring down. He's got a huge kudu female that's here. So, I mean, you look at the size of that carcass in relation to that hyena. That is a massive meal. So you can just see now that Hosana is really starting to get into his adulthood phase. I mean, to be able to bring down an animal of that size takes huge amounts of strength. And this, I mean, I don't think it's something that just died. If you look at the throat there, now if you're a bit squeamish, I do apologize, you see that there are bite marks to the throat. So I would imagine that he actually killed this rather than, you know, thinking that it died of natural causes and he's scavenged. There's definite bite marks to that throat itself. But unfortunately for him, this hyena is going to eat you, and this might attract the attention of others. The interesting thing is to be whether or not Corky or Pretty arrive here, and whether they can then potentially move off towards wherever their den may be. We can follow them. Now, the one on Little Gowrie, we still haven't received confirmation of who's there. I am of the belief it's still June is on that side, and that Corky and Pretty might still be our side, but you never know. It's obviously a little bit tricky, but that hyena is going to go to town. Poor Hosana, I'm sorry, my boy, you're losing your kill, but there's enough meat here that I'm pretty sure he is going to be able to get some of it back. Now, we're just going to go forward for Hosana quickly. I'm trying to see if I can position that we can see both. So, Sinak, no, I don't think so. I'm just trying to get a little forward. There's a big stump. Oh, shame, my boy. Are you full and hot? Yes, you are. I'm so glad we found him, though. It was worth being patient and kind of looking around for those guinea fowls and then following the various different kind of vultures. And then the hyena was the one that really kind of sealed the deal. And so really good news that we did. But you can see he's fed a lot. That's why he's panting so much. He's super hot at the moment. The thing is with this meal is that with the hyena, the risk of running in there and trying to chase him off is going to obviously mean that he might get himself badly hurt. He might get a bite to the arm, to the leg or the foot, and that will mean that he can't actually hunt anymore. But if he just lets this hyena feed, and this hyena will eat itself to oblivion, its tummy will get massive, and if no other hyenas arrive here, there will be more than enough for Hosana to steal and take up into a tree and that he can feed off. So he's got a full belly. There's possibility he can regain the meal, and so actually going after this hyena is too risky for him. He can also then go and hunt again at some point and find another kind of meal. And so, you know, this whole kind of carcass and hyenas and the risk involved is just too much for him. So you'd rather just kind of wait for the hyena to finish. But the crunching this hyena is making is most certainly going to be kind of bring about probably other hyenas, and that's going to lead to, unfortunately, him probably losing quite a bit of it. It depends obviously where the rest of them are. We are indeed very excited. It's always nice when you find a leopard. We know that I have a problem and it's an addiction, and I'm not really apologetic about it at all, really, in terms of spending vast quantities of my time watching leopards and trying to look for them. But when it all comes together, and especially when you're kind of staring down the barrel a little bit and thinking to yourself, well, I'm not really sure where they could be, and there were no tracks that we could find at all kind of around this area. Jamie drove around a lot. Aubrey was in this area, and it just took, and funny enough actually how this all happened is that I stopped and I was waiting actually to try and head towards the southern boundary as it started to get cooler and the sun was setting for the wild dogs. So I thought I'll just stop and take a little walk along the drainage line on Elephant Carcass, because it's an area where Tundi loves to hang out, and I wasn't necessarily looking for Hosana. I was trying to kind of see if I could find any tracks for Tundi. So I walked all the way along from Weaver's Nest towards Twin Dams and then came back along that drainage. Lots and lots of elephant tracks, and as I was walking kind of halfway, I heard these guinea fowls start, and then kind of came along and quickly ran back towards the car, jumped in the car and asked Senzo how long they had been calling for, and he said no, for a while. So then we came along and we drove up Elephant Carcass and we found the guinea fowls, and they looked quite relaxed. So I thought maybe not, and then I thought well let's just check up on Weaver's Nest in case he had seen this kind of leopard and they had then just gone the opposite direction. So that was the idea, was to just come and check Weaver's Nest if there was anything, and then we obviously got linked to, and there was a vulture, and so I thought I'd just watch that for a little bit, and then as things play out, that's how it kind of went. So lots and lots of luck really is involved when finding animals, particularly at this time of the year. It's very, very tricky tracking animals, and we didn't find many tracks at all when it came to kind of looking for actual physical footprints. But the thing is about tracking, particularly in the summer months, is you stop using footprints as much. I mean, obviously they are hugely vital, but you also need to start then using a lot of the sounds around, particularly because the bush gets so thick that sound becomes your friend, and with so many birds around, migratory birds and the likes, this helps you to be able to hear if there's something going on. So guinea fowls, and subsequently since we've been sitting here, I've heard rattling cisticola, redneck, well, Swainson spur fowls have also been around making a bit of a noise, and so there's a few birds that have kind of actually given this away more than anything else. And now with the hyena actually calling, well, eating, it's making a lot of noise. Puma, I'm not sure actually. I was just thinking the exact same thing. I'm not sure if it's maybe the tail part or a broken sort of section, but you're asking if there's a leg of an unborn fetus that is poking out the back of the kudu. Now I apologize, we are going to zoom in so I can see what's going on there. I don't know, to be honest. It very much looks like it, doesn't it? Is it the tail or is it the fetus that's poking out? No, well, that's a bit of, yeah, it looks like a fetus maybe that's going to come out there, I'm afraid. So, like I say, if you are very squeamish, probably now is the time to look away a lot. This is part and parcel of this time of the year, I'm afraid, is that there are fetuses that are inside a lot of these females, and unfortunately they get eaten. And so I think we're not going to dwell on that too much. We'll probably leave that image alone. We don't really kind of want to see little baby kudus being pulled out of their mothers. It's not always the most pleasant thing, and it will explain why Hosana is so full. I wonder if he hasn't eaten the kind of front side of that fetus. Often when leopards feed on carcasses, they'll open out that stomach area, pull out some of the stomach content, and if there is a fetus, they begin to feed on that, and maybe he's fed off. Remember, because a kudu fetus, if it's that well developed, will mean that he's probably eaten quite a bit already, and maybe ate the front portion, and unfortunately there's just a leg kind of left in there. But it's always very, very sad when you see that, and a lot of people often ask, well, then why do we sit here and watch this? And there's a very simple reason for it, is that we follow these animals daily, day in, day out, trying to get small little slices of their life and build up a kind of viewing of what it's like to be a leopard, and the struggles and of hyenas, leopards and kudu, and what these animals endure from a day-to-day basis. And part of that is having cubs, having young, watching them in glorious light, being playful, and other times is the more kind of gory side of things, which is something like this, where an animal unfortunately has been killed when it's got a formed fetus, and the eating of the carcass and the interaction between hyena and leopard is something that really kind of is part of nature, and it's an intriguing part of it. It's a part where, you know, watching these two predators size each other up and work out what they're going to do and see how kind of the different feeding patterns are of each of these helps us to better understand these animals. And, you know, it's like I say, it's just part of nature. It's the hard part of it for sure, but it is that part that we know we can't censor everything that we see, unfortunately. Now, this poor kudu is being mangled by this hyena, and you can see hyenas eat very differently to the way that a leopard would. I mean, ears are often a delicacy for most of the predators. They will get eaten quite quickly, and especially the front of the face. Right, from the macabre, we're going to send you back to Ngwadi, who has apparently got a silver lining for the afternoon. Well, I suppose we have been lucky, haven't we? You know, often we talk about kind of finding animals and things like that, and 90%, well, not 90%, but a very big portion of it is luck when it comes to finding animals and just being at the right place at the right time. It would have taken a very long time until somebody spotted this cat had we not kind of been here when the guinea fowls called. And so, you know, there's a bit of very big luck involved in being, like I say, at the right place at the right time. Now, Hosana is still sitting kind of watching what's going on. This hyena is absolutely mangling this carcass. It's kind of gone from the back end to the middle and is now onto the head itself, and the head is being absolutely destroyed. It's kind of, not going well. He's trying to get into the brain casing at the moment. I say he because I'm pretty sure it's a male hyena. Not 100% sure which one it is. Lauren and I were just discussing who it could be. She has, well, we both have a lot of the hyena sort of spot patterns on our phones, and the closest we kind of came to was Luca, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not convinced yet. Many of you who are much better with hyenas than what I am, that's for sure, will be able to maybe help us which exact hyena this is. Unfortunately, it's one of the boys, which means that we're not going to be kind of getting Corky or Pretty here, but, you know, one of them might arrive with the sound of feeding, and that might then get us, you know, some sort of view of where they come from and which way their den might be. The interesting thing about this is I've been looking around quite carefully to try and see, can I see a drag mark anywhere for any sign of where this kudu may have been dragged from? And it hasn't been dragged at all. And so I think with the position of that leg kind of coming out of the back end there, which we're not going to zoom into too close, we'll keep it kind of wide on it. But I wonder if this female wasn't sitting pretty much where she is right now, and she was busy giving birth, and Hosana saw the opportunity and managed to get her while she was giving birth. That would make the most sense to me. And you know, maybe she was having even a struggle with giving birth, and that's why she was weakened, and he took an opportunity to be able to grab it and kind of grab this kudu. But no matter any way you look at it, a kudu is a big animal, it is a strong animal, and so for Hosana to bring it down is a very special thing. He's done a very good job. We know Tumba's done it before, and obviously there's many other leopards, but this is kind of, I think, is this probably one of the biggest kills we've seen him take? I would imagine so. I can't seem to remember anything bigger than this that he's had. I mean, I know he had the baby buffalo, but in terms of weight, I'd imagine that this kudu is much heavier, heaviest carcasses that I've seen him eat, and Kirst agrees with me. Kirst has obviously seen a lot of drives that I haven't been a part of, and so she agrees that this could very well be one of the biggest kind of carcasses that he's brought down, which is, I suppose, another milestone in this very, very short life of little Hosana, who's done, I suppose he's not little anymore, but he's really been an incredible leopard to have followed over the past few years. Exactly. So there we go, Crystal. You agree with me that it looks close to Luca, but it doesn't match, and you don't know who this hyena is either. So that's interesting. Crystal knows hyenas probably probably the best. I wouldn't say the best. I mean, there's obviously a lot of people out there, but Crystal is probably one of the better ones when it comes to hyenas, and she really does help us a lot with IDs and getting kind of information on them. And so when she says that it's not Luca and she doesn't recognize it, then you must know that's probably in all likelihood it's a hyena that maybe we haven't seen much of before, if at all. Hosana, you're now turning your back in disgust. He's just kind of rolled over and just turned away completely, as if to say, I can't watch this. They're eating my food. I just don't want to watch it anymore. I'm going to just pretend like it's not even happening. And you're going to say hello to us, rather. Hello, boy. Happy New Year. It's been a long time, and you've been naughty because you haven't come and seen me. Yes, you should bow your head in shame. You can see he almost looks like he's being told off. Yes, I'm talking to you. You've been naughty. You've been nowhere near Ujuma, and you've been hiding. And I'm not surprised if you keep eating these kind of things, then it's no wonder we haven't found him much at all. But anyway, it's good that we've caught up with him. I can't believe how big his shoulders have gotten. That's probably the biggest change that I've seen in him since I last kind of spent time with him in October. So Minamu, most definitely, predators will intentionally prey upon pregnant female antelope. There's a study that was done on impalas, and there's most definitely a percentage increase when the impalas are pregnant. They're slower, they are heavier, so not only is it that they a little bit easier to catch in that they are slower. Don't forget they in some ways will be slightly weaker too, because that fetus is going to be drawing energy from them as they go about their day. And the third thing is that there's actually more nutrition per kind of effort used. So if you think of a leopard or wild dogs or whatever, they've got to hunt, and whether they hunt a baby impala, a pregnant female, or a adult male, it takes the same real kind of energy in terms of the hunt and stalk. Obviously when they actually get onto the animal, there's a lot more kind of power that's needed in order to bring down an adult impala as opposed to a baby, but still there's that stalking and running process that takes place. And so targeting pregnant animals, whether or not they can discern how pregnant they are, is obviously quite tricky, but definitely when animals are bigger and swollen, a leopard will be able to, or a lion or a wild dog will probably be able to see that. Wild dogs is a little bit different because they're just pandemonium hunters and they'll take whatever comes their way, but leopard and lions and cheetah, which selectively target certain animals within a herd, will definitely notice pregnant ones as opposed to those that are not, and target them. And like I said, there's a correlation between how many pregnant females are hunted during that season before the birthing takes place, and then obviously it starts to become a lot more young animals that get hammered when they are born, because they are weaker, again easier to catch, and so you'll find that a lot of baby animals are gone after. But it is amazing how much hyenas can eat. I've just been sitting here watching this hyena, and it has gobbled down mountains of food already, and yet that stomach is not exactly hugely swollen. While it is swollen, it's not massive yet, and I mean it's literally eaten most of the internal organs. It's now completely destroyed. That head is getting into the neck muscle now, and so soon it's going to have eaten pretty much all of this, and there'll be very little kind of left of that neck. And I wonder how much more space they can actually fit in. You'll find with hyenas though, there's this process, it's slowing down definitely. Look at that, you can kind of see panting that's taking place. It might also be just listening out in case maybe some other hyenas or other predators are on their way in. You'll find if Tingana arrived here, this hyena would run very, very fast and try and move out, because Tingana is that much bigger and bulkier, and with the presence of two leopards, you might get a bit nervous and move away. We saw that the last time we saw Hosana and Tingana on a kill, which was, well, the last time I did, which was when they stole Tundi's kill that night, and they managed to kind of Hosana was bullied a little bit off the carcass and fed with hyena, whereas the hyena did not want anything to do with Tingana, and he could run in and kind of grab it. Now, there's only very few leopards that I've seen hoist kills this size, and funnily enough, Tingana is one of them. He's hoisted, I mean, maybe not quite as big as this, but I have seen him hoist a wildebeest carcass that was about this size, and then I've seen Kashan male. He's hoisted a kudu of this size, and there was Campan who also hoisted an animal of this size. So those are the kind of few. I've never seen Anderson do it. I mean, we know he's hoisted baby giraffes before, but this is an animal that's size that would really only be for the biggest males to be able to take up. James, indeed. So this is definitely Hosana's biggest meal, and we were referring back towards Tamba, as we were saying earlier, that he has brought down also a adult kudu that was pregnant, and he was actually much younger than what Hosana is now. So that was an even more impressive feat from little Tamba, who was, often deemed to be the slightly smaller of the two. I think Tamba is going to be an absolute monster in comparison to many other leopards. I saw some photos of him, and he's looking so good. I'm just sad that he's as far away as he is. It's kind of breaks my heart in some degree. I was really hoping that I'd get a few more glimpses of him, and hope that he was going to come back this side, but unfortunately it hasn't proved to be that way. Hopefully one day, you never know, maybe I'll get to see him at some point. You never know what can happen, but he is an incredible animal, and both these young males have really kind of taken to life as adult individuals really well. I mean, if you think about, the fact that both of them were left at very young ages. I mean, Tumba slightly older than what Hosana was when Karula disappeared, but both of them to have survived in a leopard dense environment where there's a lot of males around and a lot of competition, and to be able to find food and hunt as successfully as they have and bring down big meals like they have with regular ability has really been a testament to the mothering of both of those individuals. So Karula, and that then goes kind of towards Karula as a center pivot point, and maybe even her grandmother Safari, who was also an incredible hunter, that ability and technique has been passed down through those generations, and the mothers have been very successful in raising incredibly gifted youngsters in terms of hunting and surviving, which is really good in many respects. So hopefully it'll continue. Now, in terms of IDing this hyena, I think if we look, for me, on the side of this hyena, there's a very big 7. So if you can go to the sort of belly area, go along a little bit there. It doesn't look as prominent now when you kind of there, but there are 3 spots that go along, and then there's a sort of line that comes down. It almost looks like a 7 on the side, so that maybe will be able to help us going forward when we see this particular individual, as to be able to kind of work out. It's a rough 7, but you can see that there is a 7 on the side. Maybe we should call it 7 for now. Anyway, while we kind of sit with these two, we're going to see what's going to play out. We're going to see if any more hyenas are going to arrive, or if Hosana is going to play tug of war and try and get his carcass back. In the meantime, back to Noli, who's got, well, a Franklin that led us to be able to find these guys. Well, the spur file said goodnight, and you can see that hyena has pulled the fetus out now. So that's the fetus that is unfortunately being eaten. It seems like quite a well-developed fetus, but we're not going to go too kind of close in. Like I say, it's gory and macabre, and not really needed in order to kind of be seen. It's one of those things, unfortunately, with nature, and we don't really need a close-up of a little baby kudu being eaten out of its mother's stomach. It's not very pleasant at all. But anyway, what I'm hoping is going to happen is the hyena is going to eat that, and that particular animal is going to be soft and pliable and edible, and kind of eat that and maybe carry that off and leave this carcass here, and then Hosana can get his carcass back. It's getting to that time of day where other hyenas are certainly going to be moving around and sniffing about, and hearing these crunching bones might then call them in a little bit. But what I do want to show you is, since if you can just go up into, oh wait, hold on, Hosana's kind of sticking closer, so we're going to, oh no, he's going to lie down right there. Of course he is. And I was going to just show there are hundreds and hundreds of Amur falcons coming straight over our heads at the moment, which is absolutely amazing. There's just one after another that's just kind of flying through the air, which is absolutely beautiful to see against a kind of backdrop like that. Now, unfortunately, my car is going to be a little bit in the way, so I'm going to just reverse back a little bit for you, Sense, quickly. Sorry, guys. It's just the bumper is in the way a little bit, which is not that pleasant. So we're just going to go back. There we go. It'll be a little bit better, won't it? Yes. But what an epic way to finish our afternoon. I did not expect to find Hosana on such a big kill. I don't think he's going to do too much to really go after this just yet. I think he's going to wait for this hyena to finish off, and then he's going to try and see what's left and whether or not he can then get it up into a tree or try and hide it away. But he's got a very little chance, I'm afraid. With sort of night closing in, the hyenas are eventually going to kind of get to the point where they are going to have eaten, and well, they're going to attract others, and he's probably then going to lose it, I'm afraid. But we'll see. The morning will bring out what's going to happen. But it is that time, like I say, where we're going to start heading home. We're going to get for dinner and see what there is there. I'm sure it will be something delicious. But it's been, well, a wonderful afternoon, from David having all the luck and perseverance to be able to find those little lion cubs, to Hosana on his kill. It's been excellent. So from all of us, it's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll also see you tomorrow morning on the Sunrise Safari.